Talya Bosch is the Director of Corporate Responsibility for Western Union and is here with us right here at the BCLC Added Value in Emerging Markets Conference. Talya, welcome.
Thank you.
When I think of Western Union, I think of a company that I would go down to my local store and send money somewhere.
Yeah, that is largely what we do. We do it through banks, we do it through your local grocery store. You may be a Western Union customer without knowing it if you pay bills online. We have about 16,000 biller relationships, and increasingly we work with small businesses as well. Our focus is underserved consumers, those who are not served well by others, and surprisingly that's the case for not only people at the bottom end of the pyramid, which is probably what we're best known for, but people of all walks of life, including small business owners.
So if your focus is underserved consumers, that oftentimes are people who are not at the highest end of the economic
That's right.
scale. Is there money there?
There is. There absolutely is. In fact, there's quite a bit of money there. People don't know, but particularly migrants, people who unfortunately very often have had to leave their homes for economic reasons, they're very driven to send money back so that their relatives no longer face the challenges that they face, hard decisions about food versus medicine, upgrading their houses, those types of things. And migrants collectively send home almost twice all sources of foreign aid combined. And it almost is as great as foreign direct investment. So it's a huge amount of money. In some parts of the developing world, it's 10, 20, as much as 40% of the GDP.
Really?
Yes.
Well, so I guess I probably should ask the question this way. I typically ask how many countries that you're in, but I think I should ask it this way. How many countries are you not in?
3.
So how is it from a corporate responsibility side? How is it different to do business in an emerging market than it is to do business in a developed country?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are some similarities and some differences. We focus on 3 things. One is what responsibility looks like through our core operations, and that'll look a little bit different in different parts of the world where compliance issues may be a little bit different, where customs and practices in HR, for example, may be different. But we want to make sure that we're meeting or beating those regulations, those expectations in the market. We also look in terms of our products, and their social needs can be very different. And so we're trying to become much more deliberate about addressing social needs by design rather than just by default. And then finally, of course, we look at our social investment strategies. And there too, some of the themes are universal. Jobs are a universal need. Economic opportunity is universal. But what that looks like in a developing world context can be quite different.
I understand the business of your company to receive and transmit money,
Yep.
and then to make the money available on the recipient's end.
That's right.
That being the case, when you're looking at the social needs of a community in an emerging market, I mean, how deep do you drill?
Yeah, we do go fairly deep, and frankly it's something that we're doing even more of, which is to deliberately look at social issues and then figure out how our products can address it. And let me give you an example. One of our middle managers in the Philippines actually read a story in the newspaper about a woman who received welfare, very bottom rung of the pyramid, a country that unfortunately is relatively poor but developing to begin with. And so people who get welfare there are really in need. She was disabled. She wasn't able to pick up her money very easily. And unfortunately, when she did go, she was often the target of crime because people knew that she was getting her welfare check. She had to travel about a day. And so when she couldn't do that, she actually was then paying people to pick up her money for her. So not all of the money she was getting was even making it into her pocket. And we realized, well, we can help. And so we contacted the government of the Philippines. We've been working with them to expand our distribution locations and also to expand the ways that we get money to people. So it's not just cash, it could be prepaid cards or mobile money so that people have flexibility. And that solves a huge social need. And at the same time, we can do it much more economically than the government could do it, but there's still some benefit for us as well.
How do the technological innovations in banking, and you kind of touched on it with mobile banking, how does that impact Western Union?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. We've always been a company built on innovation. A lot of people don't know our whole history. It's a fascinating one. It goes back 160 years, the first commercial satellite, the first charge card, a lot of things. It's in our DNA. And so now we're innovating with mobile money, as I mentioned, with prepaid cards, with the internet, and looking at the way that will change the financial services landscape going forward. Not just here, but particularly what's exciting is what it means to that person who's selling fruit on the side of the road, let's say in Jamaica, to really be able to join the global economy.
Let's talk about a specific social circumstance that happened with someone that I know. It was a company who was buying artisans' products out of Afghanistan shortly after 2001. And they found that many of the artisans were women, and so they were very happily able to contribute to the economy by giving women money when they had never gotten them before. Then they found that the women the money was being taken by their husbands. This particular entrepreneur said, well, I'll fix that, and so he started giving a check to the woman that she could give to her husband, and cash so that she could keep.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that this is a Western Union problem, but you did kind of touch on the social nuances and cultural nuances of countries. So that long question is, do you have to deal with circumstances like that where the cultural differences may actually be harmful to the person who's receiving the funds?
Yeah, we do. You're right, it does get very, very complex. And as a company, it's tricky to figure out exactly what our role is or should be. One of the things that's powerful about remittances is that they're profoundly democratic, so that rather than people having to wait in line for aid and have what they need dictated to them by the aid agencies, as well-intentioned as they are, and we support many of them, they do great work, but that's not necessarily empowering people to make choices in their own lives. And so with remittances, people can choose where and how they want to spend their funds. With that comes a lot of interest from relatives to receive a piece of that money. So we actually do see very often when people are receiving a remittance, you'll see something come across border into a country and then go out from that location to multiple other parts, often to the countryside. So the money might come into the capital city from a foreign worker and then be dispersed. And so we've had some really interesting conversations with the World Bank, with Mercy Corps, with many of our NGO partners to look at exactly what those needs are and how we can play a role in helping our consumers make more informed choices and keeping them safe. That's part of our responsibility as well.
It sounds like that there may be a changing role or a changing relationship between Western Union and NGOs today than there was just a few years ago.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I've always tried to listen very hard, and now we're inviting them in as partners, not just as grantees, but really as partners to help figure out how our core business can be used to have a social impact, not only having an impact through our grants.
Is that good for the community, for business and NGOs to be that close?
I think it is, absolutely. I think the NGOs see challenges that we don't always see, and we can be much more responsive and solve problems if we know that they exist. Clearly, there is a line between what we can do through our business and what we can do through our foundation. We're very aware of that line. The foundation solves social issues, and the business can do it as well, but in a different way.
As Director of Corporate Responsibility, is there an engagement by your employees separate and apart from corporate giving?
Yeah, there absolutely is. We have a number of programs that encourage that. So like many companies, we give people time off to volunteer. We help them with board service. Many of them want to be active on NGO boards and in their communities in other ways. One of the things that we're doing, again, like others, is an executive in residence program. In our case, we partner with Ashoka, and we deliberately send people from markets that they're less familiar with to other parts of the developing world where they can use their skills. So for example, we had a lawyer who's based in Hong Kong who went to a nonprofit in Mexico that needed help dealing with legal issues that small businesses and migrants there often face. And for her, it was a real eye-opener. She took that customer insight back into her work while leaving some real value for the nonprofit as well.
So it is valuable to take somebody out of their comfort zone and then put them somewhere else?
It's enormously valuable. And we're trying to get a little bit more systematic in making sure that we bring those insights back and directly convert them into what we do as a business. But absolutely, and this is a program that's open to our rising stars. And so to have them develop in that way and to bake into the DNA of our company, the fact that service is part of what it is to be a leader, I think that sends a strong signal.
At Western Union, you work around the world lots of times through independent agents.
That's right.
Do the independent agents work with you in the community engagement in any way?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And in fact, that's a little bit distinctive for us. We've had a program for about 10 years that's agent giving. And so it's joint giving where Western Union Foundation puts up $1 for every dollar that the agents give. And sometimes they give alone, and sometimes they come together in giving circles where there's a collective issue in a community that we can better solve together. And it's an enormous benefit to us because we have 470,000 locations around the world. We give on an average year in easily over 70 countries. And so for us, to know exactly what the needs are, it's hard to do if you're sitting in headquarters, but our agents are our eyes and the ears on the street. They know what the issues are, and they know who's doing the good work to solve it.
With all of those locations, I bet that you have an awful lot of success stories, but I'm only asking you just to pick one. What's your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question. Are you talking about social or are you talking about business?
Yeah, from the well, I don't know.
I'll tell
Maybe
you
they're
what,
the same.
I'll give you one that actually is the both. So we have a family scholarship program where we give scholarships to two members of the same family, realizing that people should not have to make hard choices when it comes to education around who gets ahead and who is left behind. And so we gave one of our first scholarships to a Haitian woman in the United States. She got her degree and she actually came back and joined Western Union, and she is now our Haiti country manager, and she's working very actively with us on the social investments that we're making in Haiti to help develop the country. So, I think that that's a great example of a win-win.
Yeah. Now, everything of what people do, whether it's in business or whether it's in corporate responsibility, it's not perfect. What's something that you want to make better?
That's a good question. My concern is that we're asking a lot of our leaders. So we want to use every single tool in our toolbox. We want to do philanthropy in a very strategic way. We want to use our core products in ways that help society. We want to innovate new products that have social benefit. We want to look at our operations, so our procurement and HR policies and all of that. And that's a lot. We have today about 7,000 employees globally, although we're in a very big global reach. And so one of the things that I want to make better is making it very clear what it is we're asking of people, and then actually holding them accountable. So we actually have a commitment from our CEO to bake responsibility into everybody's scorecard in 2012. And so I think clarity and business metrics will tell us if we're getting there. I'd love to come back and tell you how we're doing.
We'll probably be asking you that one. All right here at the BCLC, the BCLC itself has announced two new tools for businesses. One of them is the Business for Good map, and another one is the International Business Core. Can those tools be helpful to you at Western Union?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the map is really critical because you can't make wise decisions if you don't know exactly what's happening today or where it's happening. You can't see where the areas of unmet need are or where there are opportunities for collaboration. And so I think we can do a lot more if we partner up with others to make sure that we're using our resources efficiently, not only as individual companies, but really the collective impact that companies can have together. So I think the map, we're just scratching the surface of what the map will do. And I look forward to getting feedback from others. Hopefully it'll help them too, on the nonprofit side, realize who to reach out to, where and why, so they're not wasting their resources with letters of inquiry that may not fit. So that's hugely helpful. And then with the Service Corps, I look forward to being able to build on the program I told you about, that executive and residence program, to build that out according to best practices and do even more there together.
All right, I'm going to take you up right now on a suggestion you said maybe for a few years down the road.
Yeah.
But let's get the crystal ball out. Let's look in 2016, and you're looking back on how you did with all of these programs. How'd you do?
Well, I hope that we will have done very well. I'm sure we will have learned quite a bit. Not every company in its core business necessarily does good. I think for us, we really are in a very privileged position. We are very fortunate that our core business does make people's lives better in very tangible ways. And so I think if we can at once grow the business and measure not just business but social impact of our core business, that will be very key. And I hope that we've innovated to solve some of the problems that we've been discussing today, coming up with new ways to invest on the social side. But even more importantly, from my perspective, I hope that I can tell you about products and real stories of people who have been touched, whose lives have been made easier, like that woman in the Philippines.
Very good. Talya Bosch, thank you very much.
Thank you.